Hey guys, today I have got an older style washer. It's considered a direct drive washer, and you can kind of tell that by most of them have this same basic setup with the agitator in the middle. It's got just kind of this older look to it. Though it is older, in my opinion, it's one of the best type of washing machines you can buy if you can get your hands on them, just because it fills all the way up with water. If you set it to a large load, this agitator works really well and gets your clothes really clean. Now, the purpose of this video here, obviously you can tell this is a pretty messed up machine, but it's perfect for showing off tips and tricks. So what I want to show off today is if you have been doing your laundry and you suspect that maybe a sock is stuck in the pump or something is stuck in the pump, and so what happens is it'll fill up, and then after it fills up you maybe hear like a humming sound. It just stops, and if you come over here and you try to restart it, you'll get like a brrr noise and it won't do anything, and then it'll stop. Maybe it'll overheat or pop the breaker, or you smell like a burning smell. That's the issue we're facing today. And essentially what that issue is, the motor that spins this drum also spins the pump that sucks the water out. So when this essentially goes to try to drain the water out or spin the drum after it's filled up, maybe it's agitated, what happens is the sock that's stuck in the pump jams up the motor. And so it can't spin, can't drain, and it just kind of overheats the motor and stops. So if you're experiencing that, or maybe as far as you know, it just won't drain. It fills up with water and it won't drain. You know, and you go to restart it, and like I said, you hear that loud humming noise and it stops. A lot of times you'll smell the motor overheating. That's what we're going after. So I'm gonna show you two ways to do this. There's an easy way, and then there's a little more difficult way. Now, if you've encountered this issue, maybe you got the water to drain and you're right here with nothing in the washer, I'm gonna show you the easy way to check and see if this is your issue or to go ahead and fix it. And then the second way I'm gonna show you next is the little bit longer method, but that's in case you're stuck and it's full of water, full of clothes. And you know, you can't move the machine, you can't tilt it back like I'm about to show you. That's a whole different thing. So I'm gonna, same problem, different issue though, and a lot of people find themselves in that situation, full of water, super heavy, you can't move it. So, but first tip here, it's empty, it's jammed up. Really the only thing you're gonna need here is this pair of pliers. Otherwise, you're gonna need Phillips head, or in my case I've got a drill, and then a flathead screwdriver. But for now, we're just gonna need these pliers. So I'm gonna show you what to do here. Pull this back, just so that we can tilt it. This machine was dropped, just in case you were wondering, that's why it's so beat up. Let's see if we can get in here and I can actually show you what's going on. Hang on just a second. Take this thing off and I can get a good shot here. Okay, so this is obviously a little bit more difficult because we didn't take the shell off, but it should be as easy as right here. You've got hose number 1, hose number 2, and typically the sock is sticking out either down here or up here. So if there's not a lot of water in here, you can get a little bowl or something to catch just a little bit of water that might be down in here. You're going to take these off with your pliers, pull these hoses off, and just kind of fish in there, maybe with some needle nose pliers. But if there's a sock stuck in there, you'll be able to check it. You can also, right here, you can see what I'm doing, these little metal guys here, you can use your flathead screwdriver, pop these off. Obviously this is a lot easier to do with the shell off, but once you've kind of done it a few times, it goes pretty quick. So that pops off just like that. It's got a little hole that it goes into right here, goes back on. Otherwise, you just pop it off like that. Same thing on top, and you can just use your fingers to turn it, pull it off. Now this whole thing comes off here. All right, so you're gonna pop these off here with your pliers. Just pull each one of these back, pull it out. Maybe a little water that might come out. Now there's a little bit of water in this one too. But that's it, that's how easy it is. And it's literally, there's no easy way to describe how to grab some needle nose pliers, reach in there and rip out the sock. I typically get it from the top, but if it's been sucked through far enough, it might be easier to get from the bottom. You just have to go about it however you can. Reach in there and pull out the sock. The other thing you want to check for, and I'll show this off a little bit more once we take the case off, but if you see a trail of water here, and this looks like maybe there was some kind of a leak from right there, a tiny bit. Could also just be some grease thrown off from the motor. You can see some grease on my fingers. But if you see a black line here that comes down on the bottom, like water has leaked out and dripped, you might just go ahead and replace this. I'll put a link in the description. These pumps are all the same on these type of washers, so I'll put a link to a generic pump on Amazon on here. If you see that watermark, or if you see like under your washer a nice big dried up water spot, or maybe even water, go ahead and replace this. It's cheap enough. You just pull this one off, throw it away with a sock, and put the new one on and stick it back on there. So like I said, as long as you're not dealing with a machine full of water, it's pretty easy. Then you can just kind of line this thing back up, pop that back on. The top one, you can kind of feel, now I've done this a bunch of times, but kind of feel where the little hole is that this goes into up top here. Actually see what I'm doing. You know what, I'll just leave it off since I'm going to show you the other way here in a second. But goes in, turn it, and you just pop it back on, just like that. Okay, so that's method number one. Pretty easy. I'm going to remount this camera. Give me just a second. Okay, so now we need to get at, now we're going to pretend like this is full of water and you can't move the machine. So some of these are a little different, but typically your screws to hold it down are going to be right here. Take that off. So there's one there and there's one there. Once you take those out, this just pulls back. It's got little keepers that are supposed to not be broken that would allow it just to flip up like that. You can leave it like that. Or the other type have the screws on the back side, so you just go around to the back and pull those screws up. Same thing though, it'll pull and flip up just like this. See the undersides like that. What you're gonna need to take off, this is to the lid switch. And I'm gonna do a separate video on maybe your washer not spinning out. It just fills up with water and stops because of this lid switch. But I'll go ahead and say it in this video. Never cut this here. Always do your splicing if you're gonna bypass it down here, or just go ahead and replace it. It's a $5, $10 part. So, but for now, we'll just tuck it like that. You're gonna need your flathead screwdriver, and how you take these off, super easy. Just put it down in here, pop it up like that. And, or you just totally break it like that.
You're fired.
Anyway. All right. Now, pop this up. You're gonna slide it backwards and just move it out of your way. Okay, now we have full access to the pump. We're not actually reaching for anything at this point. You can see, hopefully you can see, let me straighten this up just a bit here. Hopefully you can see that's the little hole I was talking about. Goes in, turns, like that. That's how that would be once you take this off. Give me just a second here. All right, switch up my grip here a little bit, because I want to talk about what you do if this thing is full of water. Honestly, I'd recommend paling it out as much as you possibly can, get as low as you can, because that's a ton of water. And when you pull these hoses off, what do you do with the water? Well, you're kind of at a weird angle to get a 5-gallon bucket or something underneath it, because when you take it off, I mean, it's just gonna rush out because the water's not running through here like it's supposed to. It's clogged. You know, you could try to pull this off and stick something in there to block it, but you'd really have to know what to put in there. I've had to do this before, and there's just no easy answer for it. What I did was I paled it out as far as I could. Then I had like a big towel that I pulled this off and kind of crimped it and filled up a really big bucket that I had as many times as I needed to, you know, using the towel. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but you know, you do what you gotta do, because if you take it off here, there's really no way to stop that, and it will just drain until it's done, and it's hard to get something big enough under there. So just do the best that you can, really. There's no perfect solution there. I mean, if you know the perfect solution, put it in the comments. I'd love to know. But otherwise, let's get back to this here. So this is what you need to replace. You're full of water, you paled it out. You know, now you're gonna decide how you're gonna get the remaining water out. Maybe you got lucky and it's in a basement with a floor drain, and you just let it fly. All right, so now we got this off, and you can work with these hoses a little easier now. I don't know how much water is going to be in this thing. I can see there's no water up here, so for testing purposes, yeah, let's see, we'll just take this one off. Shouldn't give us much water. All right, I'll pop that off. This is where the head mount comes in hand. Here we got a foot. Oh, there's water everywhere. No shit. I'll keep it interesting. Okay, so if there was a sock, you'd be able to see that sock right down in here, and it's so gross. You can reach in there, pliers, fish it out. I can feel that there's nothing. I'm spinning the propeller, if you can see that. I can't see what you're seeing, my camera's gone black, but this pump is actually perfectly fine. There's nothing holding it down, nothing jamming it up. This spins freely, so this is great. We'll put this back together and be good to go. In your case, you reach in there with some needle nose pliers, pull out the sock, then you're gonna put this back on. One-handed. Get the foot back in there. There we go. Pliers, and sometimes you gotta go at that sock from the bottom. But even though you can see what I mean about the water, it didn't even look like there was any water in there, and that was quite a bit of little water that I gotta clean up now. It's great. Okay, I'll pop this back on. Yeah. And because I spun that, now it's not matched up anymore. Let's see. But you can see that's got like a little angle to it. So I'm gonna do is kind of spin this. You can see. About like that. There's just parts falling off of this thing all over the place. If you caught my other video where the dude dropped the washer at the back of his truck, that's this washer. Alright. Yeah, I'm gonna switch back to the head mount because there's a trick for doing this too. Hang on. Okay, both hands now. The trick I was talking about, it just makes this a pain in the butt. So if you reach behind this motor, on the other side of the motor, you can actually grab the part that spins, and you can't see anything probably. Anyway, you put this up against the shaft and you reach in here and you spin this. There you go, and it clicks right back in place there. So your pump's fixed, or maybe you just put a new pump on there, whichever way you need it to go. Reach under here and feel that little hole this one goes into, and turn it. And yeah, most videos would say, hey, we're done, but I want to show you how to put this frame back on, because It is such a pain. Sometimes people will just leave the frame off because it's such a pain to get it back on. And there's a trick for that. This frame's a little beat up, so it'll be interesting to get it back on. But anyway, there you go. Your pump's done. Hopefully you could just tilt it back, pop these off, and replace it. Super easy if you weren't full of water. But obviously, as you can see, huge pain in the butt when there's still water in it. And you can obviously tell I'm not a video pro. I really don't care if my videos are pretty or, you know, if they look fancy or any of that crap. This is real life. This is what people are dealing with and going through with their appliances. When it stops working, it's a super pain, and a lot of people would just assume buy a brand new washer than to go through this kind of stuff. But not everybody's got, you know, 800,000 bucks laying around. $10 pump, $7.99, 10 bucks on Amazon, and a little bit of a pain in the butt, and you're back on your feet. That's the purpose of these videos. That's why I make them. It's because that's kind of where we're at. You need to keep this stuff going, keep it out of the landfills. When this stuff gets scrapped, they just crunch it up and toss it in a hole in the ground. So, all right, now we got this part here. You're going to tilt it back, slide. If you look down in here, hopefully you can see what I'm seeing. You can actually see where it's supposed to go. You just use your foot to push it up against the bar on the bottom. When those are lined up, you're lined up. And you can drop it down. As you do, pull this up and allow it to just kind of fall back into place, okay? Then you come over here to each side. This has to be in its little track. So I pull it up like that and use my foot to kind of push it over. It's got a little catch down there, okay? That's on. Same thing on this side. Line up this track, use your foot to kind of push it over, and we're lined up, just like that. Okay, I don't know why that's so difficult, but when you don't know that trick, and this isn't lined up here, it's like all over the place, and it's such a pain. So let me see if I can find those pieces that went flying on me earlier. I don't know where the other one is, but okay. That one goes in there, this one would go in there. Flip this. Oh, don't forget to hook this back up. Otherwise your washer is just gonna die after it fills up with water. It's gonna go back on, just like that. Put your 2 screws back in, your covers, you're done. Your washer will be good to go. Okay. I hope that helps some people. Like I said, I know this video is not super fancy or anything, but maybe that'll save some people a lot of money. I know the repair prices are also going through the roof. So if this is valuable to you, if this saved you a bunch of money, please like, share, and subscribe, and we can get this video to more people. Try to help them out as well, save some money. Thanks, you guys. Have a great day.